It's the Inside Scoop, Emerald Planet. All the ecology news that our viewers want to know. Now, here's your host, Executive Director of the Emerald Planet, Dr. Sam Lee Hancock.
Hello, welcome to the Emerald Planet as we come to you from Washington, D.C. in the United States, looking around the globe in 144 different nations, looking for those 1,000 best practices, the technologies, the services, and the products that make a difference as we move through the 21st century. And also, we're looking for the leadership that's going to take us through the 21st century as the planet adds 2 billion new people. And as we go to 9 billion people, how are we going to provide for all the care that they need, the basic infrastructure, the food, the fuel, the fiber, and to provide the education that's going to have the next generations as we go towards 2050. And we have two people joining us from California that are very much involved in this. They're senior high school students at the Santa Monica High School, and it's Kimberly Fuentes and Brian Samimi, they're both senior students at the Santa Monica High School in Santa Monica, California. They're coming in by Skype, and sitting right beside me, who's coming back for another guest appearance, is Lynne. She's the director of the Young Voices on Climate Change and also the producer for the Young Voices for the Planet, the film series. And that's how we know about Kim and Brian. So Kim and Brian, welcome to the Emerald Planet.
Hi.
Glad to have you here. Kim, start off a little bit and just explain about the creation and the purpose of what is called Team Marine.
Well, basically, Team Marine is an environmental organization. We focus on plastic pollution, ocean acidification, and climate change. We started in 2006, 2007 as a competition group for the Quick Science Challenge, and we started focusing on plastic pollution. But we later noticed on that there was so much more to be done and so many more causes, such as the fossil fuel addiction that the United States is doing currently.
Well, I tell you, that's a broad agenda that you have, and it's just wonderful that you're doing that kind of work. As Lynn and I were just talking about, we're going to be adding 2 billion new people to the planet, and the work that you're doing is really going to help to address that. Brian, how has being featured on the Young Voices for the Planet film series helped to publicize your project?
Well, I personally wasn't on the Young Voices of the Planet film series, but that was the older generation of Team Marine. We are in the newer generation of Team Marine, and we still greatly honor our previous predecessors' achievements. And that just allows us to get more publicity and to grow more and more as an organization, help us better get our message out to more and more people.
So you feel like that even though you weren't in that first series, that's really helped to keep and sustain the momentum of the organization?
Yes.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Lynn, why don't you ask the next question?
So how did seeing the Team Marine film, the Young Voices for the Planet Team Marine film with your predecessors affect how you went forward with your projects?
Well, it's definitely been such an inspiration for me since Mr. K, he shows the video at the beginning of every new Team Marine as kind of a look what your ancestors did, look at these great achievements that have been accomplished. And it's such an inspiration to see those groups that have done so much before us, and it kind of gives a bar to reach every single year. So it's definitely a great achievement to have under our belt, and we hope to do as much as they have and even more. So.
Yeah, we have a slide here, I guess, from one of the earlier groups and also the professor that's working with you. If we can bring up that slide, and that'll give an idea of the different groups that have been there. Brian, how did you initially learn, I should say, about the negative impacts of the plastic bags on the planet? And then how does they affect negatively the sea life and some of the impacts that are coming both from the plastic bags and then from how it's affecting not only the sea life but also the oceans themselves?
Well, personally, as living in a city right by the beach, I just noticed that a lot of trash, a lot of litter, including, which was predominantly plastic bags, was accumulating near the beaches, into the storm drains, and it was getting into the ocean. I didn't really realize the kind of like how much damage has been done or what the consequences of them are until I got more into it, until I kind of joined Team Marine. And taking Mr. K's marine biology class, it kind of taught me a lot of the negative impacts of the plastic pollution that's being put into the ocean.
So it's something that you actually would see then when you go out on a day-to-day basis right near your home?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Wow, that has a direct impact. And so I guess that's a big motivation then to stay active and keep addressing this.
Definitely is.
Yeah.
Well, Lynne, why don't you take the next question?
What were the most effective ways that you were able to engage the other students and the public and teachers and get them excited about your cause?
Well, we're activists, so we use our 3 pillars of activism, which is research, service learning events, and outreach. And as you mentioned, the movie that we were in with you, that is outreach. And as you mentioned, it was shown to thousands of people, and that gets our message across to such a broader audience. But we also do things such as lesson plans with kids. We visit schools. We eco-educate them to eco-activate others. We do marches, protests, student-run protests, of course, environmental events that we host at our school. We host movies at our school to teach people about the effects of plastic pollution and other things. We make costumes, we do lobbying, we write sustainability policies that we send to our school district, and we just do so much, and that gets students' attention and teachers' attention, because they don't really imagine students doing those kind of things. That's definitely not what you would think a high school student would do in their free time, like let's write some policies, So just the fact that it's students that are doing it gives a bigger message than if it was a college group or a group of adults doing it, in my opinion.
I will let Lynne go ahead and have a follow-on question to that one. Go ahead, Lynne.
So the kids in the film, in Team Marine, they got a ban on plastic bags in Santa Monica, but you, I understand, were instrumental in getting the statewide ban on plastic bags. So do you want to tell us how you did that?
Well, the previous team, they lobbied the city of Santa Monica government for about 4 years. They were in and out of the city council chambers, just like trying to get the plastic bag ban passed. And finally in 2011, they got it passed. And ever since then, we've been trying to get the ban passed for the entire city of LA, not only, and now it's now to the entire state of California. The city of Los Angeles passed an ordinance about 2 years ago. It took effect this year. And earlier this year, about March, me and several other students and our team coach, Mr. K, went up to Sacramento to basically lobby the senators and assembly members to vote yes on Senate Bill 270, which is for a ban on single-use carry-out bags. It just passed in the Senate and in the Assembly about less than a month ago, and Governor Jerry Brown just signed it into law. So it's now going to take effect next year.
I think that's absolutely fantastic. And Kim, looking at that, what are some of the things that you're learning? I know you had this long list of involvement within the community and activities centered around talking with the city council and the members of the state legislature. But what's some of the skills that you've learned that you think you'll be able to apply in your day-to-day life that's going to last you, the next 50, 100 years that you're going to be an activist in California, wherever you may be living?
Well, first of all, I gained so much more self-confidence in myself and my speaking skills. I was a very quiet student before I joined Team Marine, but I was definitely opened up to so many more opportunities to speak to people who could actually make a change in policy and also in the way that I lived personally. So just having those opportunities to put myself out there have given me confidence, as I have said, and also just the ability to type emails to certain people that are very important, such as senators. We do lots of calls to our senators to ask them to get our Senate Bill 270 on, the AB 1699, which is the microbead ban. So we learn lots of skills of applying our rights as a citizen to the public policy.
Brian, go ahead. Did you want to say something, Brian?
Yes, Team Marine has definitely changed me as a person. When I was a kid, I was still I was aware that there are many environmental issues our planet faces, as we have so many people, and how much fossil fuels we're using, how many resources we're just extracting all resources out of Earth as we possibly can. But I really didn't know I could do anything until I joined Team Marine. Team Marine has definitely made me a more aware person. It's definitely also improved my speaking skills. It's also I've also discovered what I want to do. I figured that I'm really into the ways that electric cars work, and we also did another project which was to convert a 1971 Volkswagen Beetle into an all-electric car, and we're gonna kind of finish it off within the next few months. And as we work with Reverend Gadget, which is a professional electric car converter, he was in the movie Revenge of the Electric Car, and we're going to get a chance to work with him, kind of teach us some aspects of mechanical and electrical engineering, and just give us a way of kind of how things work. And I figured that's what I actually enjoy doing. That's what I'm greatly interested in, the way that electric cars work, and I think that's what I want to do.
Well, it sounds like we have another film coming up for Young Voices on the Planet, what you're doing. 2 quick questions, and we have maybe about 30 seconds each. And I'll go with you first, Brian. What did you think, what did you learn when you went to the state legislature and you were moving around among the representatives and the senators there? What did you get out of that? And then, Kim, where do you think that Team Marine's going to be, say, in the next 5, 10, 15 years, and we have to be quick?
Well, going to Sacramento, I learned that it's such a long process to get a bill passed. First, it needs to be authored by a certain assembly member or senator. Then it needs to be sent around to all their secretaries to then get known for the other senators and assembly members to know of it. And also, I didn't know that one house, let's say the assembly, doesn't know about any of the Senate bills until they make it out of the Senate, and then they're off to the assembly to vote on.
Right.
And then after
Kim, last for you, where is Team Marine going to be in the next 5, 10, 15 years?
Well, currently we are already working on.
I think we've already lost you. Thank you for being with us. We had 2 senior members of the St. Monica High School in San Monica, California, coming in by Skype. And thank you for being, and Lynne, Cherry, thank you for being with us, and thank you for watching as we create the Emerald Planet.
There's more than just books at the library.
There's more than just books at the library.
Excuse me.
There's more than just books at the library.
Il y a plus que de livres à la bibliothèque.
Hello. You have a lot of great books here today. You know there's more than just books at the library.
I know.
There's more than just books at the library.
I don't want to be hooked to a machine.
I want all the medical treatment available to me.
I wouldn't want my family to have to make this decision.
My doctor knows what's best for me.
An advance directive is your life on your terms. Talk with your family. Decide what's right for you. Then put it in writing.
Documenting my wishes today means my family won't have to make heart-wrenching decisions later.
To learn more, visit www.putitinwriting.org.
1,200 American youth run away from their homes every day. The National Runaway Switchboard is here to help. 1-800-RUNAWAY. If you are a runaway, thinking about running away from home, or a parent or guardian concerned about issues facing your child, call us 24 hours a day. 1-800-RUNAWAY. In times of crisis, hope is just a phone call away. 1-800
to the Inside Scoop Emerald Planet. Here again, your host, Dr. Sam.
Hello and welcome to the Emerald Planet TV as we come to you from the United States, Washington, D.C. to be specific. We're looking around the globe for those 1,000 best practices, the technologies, the services, and the products. They're going to make a difference as we have a planet with 9 billion people, and the whole climate change keeps accelerating and bringing about profound change to the lives of everyone that's here on the planet. And so how are we going to prepare the next generation so that they're actively involved and to be able to tell their stories? We have a special guest sitting beside me. This is Lynne, who is the director of the Young Voices on Climate Change, and she's also the producer of what's called Young Voices for the Planet film series. And so she's introduced us to our next guest, who's Olivia Bouler, and she has a film. It's called Olivia's Birds and the Oil Spill. She's 15 years old, and I think you probably should be about 25 or 30, Olivia, with all the work that you're doing. She's an illustrator, writer, and an eco-activist, and she's from Earlton, New York. So, Olivia, welcome to the Emerald Planet TV.
It's great to be here, sort of.
Well, we're glad to have you here, and Lynne speaks just absolutely gushes every time she thinks about and talks about you and the work that you're doing. But anyway, tell us a little bit about what is this Olivia's Birds and the Oil Spill film all about, and why create a film?
Olivia's Birds and the Oil Spill, it's really about what I did when I was 10, when I heard about the Gulf oil spill and how I wanted to help. I decided to use my artwork to raise money for the Audubon Society, who was helping the birds in the area who were affected. And it actually turned out to be a really exciting, phenomenal event, and it ended up raising $200,000, so very happy to say that. So
that is incredible. But going to the film, why do a film? You're an illustrator, eco-activist, and doing all of these things. Why did you want to be in the film?
Lynne actually approached me and we started talking about it, and it seemed like a great idea, reaching kids with my story. It seemed like an amazing thing to do, and almost like my duty as a person who's been through all of this, to show other people that it's possible for kids to make a difference, and anybody for that matter to make a difference, and to show other people that the earth is worth saving.
Yeah, and the whole thing about that too, Olivia, it doesn't matter what age, if you have a story and you have something that's really positive for the earth, and it's going to get out there, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great. So what are some of the profound changes that you've gone through since the airing of the film? I understand there's been tens of thousands of people that have seen this story about you. So what are some of the changes occurred in your life? And let's broaden that out to your family and those that are around you.
I mean, when you say profound, the biggest experience that sticks out to me is when I went to Costa Rica and I gave my book to underprivileged school children who didn't have anything. I mean, they walked on a day there wasn't any school, but I came there and everybody showed up. And we gave them the pencils and paper and a copy of my book. And they were kissing me, they were crying, they were so emotional, even though I couldn't even speak their language. It was just an incredible experience in general. And I'm getting emotional right now. It was just amazing for me, an eye-opener. It was both exalting and humbling. I don't even know how to describe it.
I think you just did an absolutely perfect job, because when you go overseas and people are showing up on their supposed day off and they don't want to miss anything if it has to do with education. So we're so blessed in this country that we can do all this, and yet many times we take it for granted. And what you learned there in Costa Rica is that these people are not taking it for granted, and they want to have that. Lynne, next question.
Well, I wanted to mention that the films can be seen at youngvoicesfortheplanet.com, but we really need to see Olivia's artwork, which is, we have a clip from the film which shows some of the beautiful bird illustrations that were put up on the Audubon site, from which you ended up raising this $200,000. So could we?
Yeah, let's see if we can show the video clip.
There's no sound.
Would be feeding their babies that they would not leave their nests.
I knew those birds were going to be affected, and some of them won't make it. Thinking about it that whole night, I decided to write a letter to Audubon.
It was signed 11 years old and willing to help.
The letter basically said I will do 500 drawings. For people who donate, they would get a drawing. And who knows, maybe I'll raise $200. I'll try.
Incredible.
I've drawn ever since I was a little girl, ever since I could hold a pencil.
The donation started a couple weeks after the explosion of the rig.
The drawings were called for in 3 weeks. It took me 3 months to finish them.
It was such a media whirlwind.
It tells you people want to help, but they just don't know how. That's why I think they need a role model like youth to say, if a child can do it, so can I. I can make a difference.
I tell you that, Olivia, that is absolutely fantastic. And from your $200, you actually raised over $200,000, correct? That's what you said. And you've had over 2 million people have watched this film. So looking at that, what do you think this has done as far as bringing awareness to your work, and also the importance to protect the earth through your film?
I think that my film really just shows people that it's possible. And, you know, it's amazing to see that people do, like I said, they do want to help. They really don't know how. And the fact that I'm here as a living testament to kids and people, ordinary people with ordinary lives, who want to make a difference in their own way. And it's possible, and with the right timing and the right passion, it's honestly, you know, I'm still in awe that I'm talking to you, you know. I'm looking back at my own story, I'm like, wow, it's kind of interesting. You know, it's I can't believe it. It's unfathomable. But the fact is, it did happen, and there are people who need to see it to believe it. You know what I'm saying? There are people out there who are like, oh, what's the use? Like, why do I even bother trying if it's not going to get me anywhere? But it does, and I'm here to show you that. And people all over the world have gifts and talents and purposes, and mine is to speak out for the environment, because honestly, animals, and they don't have voices, even though they're alive, and you know, they have as much of a right to have a say than we do. And even I'm hearing about stories about the piping plover and their habitat being destroyed, just like yesterday on the news, and I'm like, and it's like humanity. Humans are my least favorite species, I swear. But it really is getting out of hand, and it's up to us as stewards of the earth to speak out for those who don't have a voice. You know, people say, oh, all these humans are oppressed, la la la. Animals don't even have a voice. The environment doesn't even have a voice. It can't talk. We don't understand it. We just have to make the extra leap and see what the facts that are already there. And we have to learn from them so we can try to make amends so the world doesn't end. I mean, just play it safe, guys. Don't fight climate change. It's real. And even if it's not, if you don't believe it's real, which is silly to me, but just play it safe, you know? I don't know.
You're doing absolutely fantastic. That's why I'm just letting you speak in your own voice and not follow up with a question. What kind of advice, Olivia, do you have to other youth that'll be watching Emerald Planet TV? They'll be looking at your film about how they can become activated and they can get involved, but do things in a very positive, proactive way, so they're bringing positive change to the planet to address the issues of climate change and prepare us for the next generations coming as we move to 2050 and into the 21st century?
I think that the first thing as a kid is to not let other people who don't understand get you down. And that's the most important thing, first of all, because even last year in bio, we were talking about, you know, how the environment works, et cetera, and how species go extinct. And I said, you know, I started talking about why it's important to save the environment. And a kid said, we didn't save the dinosaurs. Why would we save the birds? Why would we save the animals? And renewable energy is stupid, this, that, and the other. And the teacher didn't say anything. That's the thing that gets me the most.
Yeah, you're having to speak up for the adults. And as you know, Olivia, the work that you've been doing since you first wrote the letter when you were about 11 years old or so, that you're actually helping to raise the adults. And that's okay. You can do that. We adults can adjust to that. But looking at what other advice would you give to other youth to become involved and to move forward and really work and be proactive and to not let the adults become depressed and hold off on the work that they should be doing?
I think that honestly,
and we got about 20 seconds to answer that.
Count.
We got to get out.
Things
quick.
like planting milkweed, cleaning up parks and local beaches, and doing little things in the community make a huge difference in the end.
Yes, and to have the positive attitude that you have, right?
Thanks.
There you go.
I try.
Anyway, Olivia Bouler, thank you for being with us. She's a 15-year-old illustrator, writer, and an eco-activist from Earlton, New York. And the film is Olivia's Birds and Oil Spill. And sitting right beside me is Lynne, who is the producer of the Young Voices for the Planet and this film. So thank you for being with us, Olivia. Thank you again for speaking out in your own voice. And thank you for watching the Emerald Planet as we do work to make a difference as we create the Emerald Planet.
Osama bin Laden calls getting nuclear weapons a religious duty.
Today, materials that can be used to make nuclear weapons are stored in more than 40 countries.
Sometimes protected by just a chain link fence.
Yet not enough is being done to lock down these materials
before terrorists steal them.
Why did we learn all this?
My mother.
My son.
My sister-in-law.
Were all murdered September 11th.
Help protect America.
Together we can.
Please join us.
The stem cell issue is being debated throughout the country. Truth is, most everyone has an opinion, even if they don't know the facts.
Let's stop arguing and start really understanding the potential of stem cell research.
For us and for millions of Americans living with disabilities, get the facts.
Call 1-877-842-3442 for free information from the Stem Cell Research Foundation. That's 1-877-842-3442.
Following the tragic events of September 11th, there have been hundreds of violent attacks against innocent Americans.
Remember what that flag you're waving stands for.
Remember, please stop the hate.
We're stronger when we are united.
Remember what that flag you're waving stands for.
One nation under God.
Indivisible.
With liberty
and justice
for all.
In America, there's either room for everyone, or it's not America.
Don't pick the wrong fight.
Let's keep America land of the free.
Stop the hate.
Planning a home renovation? This at the top of your to-do list. Because after 10 years, none of you are protected against tetanus and another potentially fatal disease, diphtheria. A minor injury, such as a cut or a scrape, can put you at risk for a tetanus infection. And while safety gear offers some protection, an up-to-date vaccination called the TD booster is the best insurance against tetanus. So get the TD booster. If it's been 10, do it again.
Looking at
to the Inside Scoop Emerald Planet. Here again, your host, Dr. Sam.
Hello and welcome to the Emerald Planet as we come to you from Washington, D.C. in the United States as we're looking around the globe in 144 different nations and looking for those what we call the best of the best practices that are going to make a difference as we move towards 2050. And many times we think about the technologies, the services and products are coming from large corporations or coming from many multinational organizations or even NGOs, non-governmental organizations, nonprofits as being the leaders. And yet we know that youth really are some of the best leaders we have on the planet to talk about climate change, but also to bring about real change within local communities. The Emerald Planet, through its Power for Peace program, is looking at things at the household level. You know, tens of millions of households, how to make them independent for water, food, and energy. And so we have someone who actually is a real activist in a very positive, proactive way, Zoe Borden. And she's going to be talking about a film that was made by the special guest sitting right beside me, Lynne, who is the director of Young Voices for Climate Change and also what's called the producer for the Young Voices for the Planet. This is Zoe Borden again. She's a founder of the Massachusetts Youth Leaders and the Sprout team. We'll let you talk about that. And then also we're going to have a video clip, I think, Zoe. So before we forget about that, let's go ahead, if you don't mind. We're going to click start with your clip, and then we're going to come in with the questions. We have the clip ready? We don't know what it's called. The longing for a local lunch. Okay, anyway, our technical guys are getting it queued up here. Longing for a local, and I put in there Zoe organic lunch. So hope you don't mind. Here we go.
Our cafeteria purchases through Cisco, which in turn gets their food from other sources. Who knows where? Shipping this food all around the world to get it into our cafeteria creates a huge amount of CO2. A main contributor to global warming. So for example, locally grown apples travel 61 miles, whereas conventionally sourced apples travel 1,726 miles. So you can see how much carbon that's really creating, because it's a lot of carbon. So we've been working with the Berkshire Co-op to create a bartering system.
The students during the summer will give us their produce. We will sell that produce, and in the winter, when they need that produce in return, in carrots and anything else, we'll simply give them that product in exchange.
Once we had the pilot lunch day under our belt, we were granted one day a month that we could totally take over the menu.
Our generation, we're the ones that are going to have to be the problem solvers for tomorrow. And why not start here and reduce our carbon footprint by buying locally?
Well, Zoe, thank you for sharing that with us. That was called Longing for a Local Organic Lunch. I added that. And why would you dedicate so much of your time and effort to this kind of effort on behalf of the school and to change out products that are being shipped from overseas and many other places to use as much as you possibly can local products?
Well, I started this project my sophomore year because I saw that kids really weren't happy with what they were eating. They didn't know where their food was coming from. They didn't know what was in their food. They were getting served processed, pre-frozen lunches that weren't filling or didn't have enough nutrients to get through an actual school day. And they also didn't know the extent that the shipping of their food had on the environment, how much greenhouse gas it took to ship an apple all the way from Illinois. And I realized that not only were they very unaware of what they were eating, they also weren't building healthy eating habits. So I thought it was very important to educate my peers and my whole community on why we should be buying locally, why we should be eating organically, freshly produced food.
Well, being the star of this film, Longing for a Local Lunch, what did that actually do as far as your own school cafeteria to bring in fresh produce, but from the local communities? And what do you think the impact has been on those farms and maybe the dairies and the places that are providing the meat to the school as far as the local economy is concerned?
Well, for us who started the program, the film was a huge booster. It helped us actually achieve our goal of getting in more locally and freshly produced foods, because we could go to a local supplier and show them the video and tell them, this is our goal, this is what we're trying to achieve. And in 10 minutes after watching the video, they'd completely understand where we were coming from, because Lynne captured our spirit and our mission statement so well. So it helped us kind of break through the barrier of trying to make people understand the necessity of eating locally and actually facilitate those relationships and get food into the cafeterias faster. It's also really helpful for the local businesses and farmers, because they got so much exposure through the film and by participating in our program. These were tiny, family-owned farms, family-owned businesses, and they really benefited from having a big institution like our school buy through them instead of buying through huge companies. So the film really helped these small farmers and businesses and my local economy flourish.
Well, that's something that's very important in local economies, and as more and more people are losing their jobs or not being able to regain their jobs after the crash of the economy, agriculture, even though this is something that Americans were doing 150, 200 years ago, as far as small locally owned businesses, if you will, now we're going back to that. And so what you're doing, Zoe, is you're actually leading the way for that, so congratulations. Lynne, next question.
Can you talk about some of the problems that you found, like with the cafeteria and just the kind of entrenched bureaucracy, and how you overcame them? Because for me, that was one of the most interesting parts of it, is how you was challenge after challenge, and you met them and you prevailed.
Absolutely. Yes, it was actually very challenging to have our first local lunch day and have real healthy food in the cafeteria. I don't think the cafeterias woke up in the morning thinking, with a malicious intent, thinking, I'm going to serve kids meat with nitrogen fillers in it. I don't think it was that at all. It was more, they have a system in place buying through big companies like Cisco, and it's fast and formulaic. And we had to really work with the cafeteria, the women in the cafeteria, and the bureaucracy of the public school institution and the federal government, which mandates a lot of the buying and shipping that goes on through a federal institution like the school, to work with smaller businesses instead. So it was really, we had to create a dialogue with the women in the cafeteria. We had to create kind of a system that worked for them in the same way that it worked for us. So our goal was to create a mutually beneficial relationship and to show them, the people in the cafeteria, that it was actually more cost efficient and healthier to buy from local providers.
Now, looking at the large corporations, many large corporations now are very actively involved in sourcing from local farmers and all that. This is becoming part of the institutional philosophy and all that is going on. So, Zoe, what did you find as you're talking with the cafeteria workers and many others as far as how they could start thinking more broadly about using something that was actually from the local community?
Yeah, I think a lot of people in the beginning or the cafeteria workers were kind of scared to adopt a new model, and it's kind of scary to ask someone who's used to unpackaging a pizza to go down to the garden or go down to a farm and work with them instead of just unpacking something. We found that it took a lot of effort to breach that gap, but once we got through it, they were very thankful for having the opportunity to work with students directly and work to see what kids wanted to actually eat. So it was really, great to see us, we had a lot of roadblocks, but then eventually be able to overcome them.
Lynne, why don't you go ahead and ask the next question?
Well, since viewers can see the films online, but one thing that that you had told me after the film was finished is something about creating a store in your school. Because there was nothing during the day except these really, these machines with all kinds of not very good food in it, and that you provided an alternative. Do you want to share that? That was pretty nice.
Yeah, absolutely. So after we had our first round of local lunch days, we realized that it wasn't just lunchtime that kids were getting fed unhealthy foods and products. They had access to vending machines all day. So we decided that in addition to the local lunches that we put on, the students wanted to create a kind of safe haven space where you could go and grab a healthy snack before a sports game or before your next chemistry test. So a group of students and I actually worked with our local co-op and Guido's Marketplace, and we bought through them. So we bought things like dried mangoes, quinoa salad, healthy kind granola bars, and put up little informational flyers about where all of these products were coming from, what farmers they were supporting, how far they needed to be shipped, how much greenhouse gas it took to actually get them to our school.
Goodness.
And it became an instant hit. I'm in college now, and I see every day our posts on Facebook from the farm to school store, how much a success the dried mango is, how great the grab and go peanut butters are. So it's really awesome.
Oh, that's fantastic. This is a legacy going on in the future. We only have about 10 seconds. What do you see for the future of your work?
I see it growing to schools all across the country. I think that if kids understand the importance of living a healthy, nutritious lifestyle, they should go out into their community and try and start with these things too. Never be afraid as a young student or a young child to have a.
And Zoe Borden, thank you for being with us as we create the Emerald Planet.
This is firstgov.gov, where we're obsessed with getting you government information.
Brand new student loan applications on the site, baby. This calls for celebration. Here's your uncle.
So in the end, it was either take the astronaut gig or come work here. What can I say? Duty called.
Hey, that's my cop.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. No, I'm pretty sure that's Sam's cop.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. No. Sam's. No.
Just log on or email us and get what you need.
C, change of address form. That's how it's done. D, driver's license renewal.
E, emailing Social Security information.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Nice, we'll allow it. All right, eh? What are those?
Government surplus cars for auction.
You posted those online last time.
No, you did.
I'm posting them online this time!
For all your government information, firstgov.gov.
Oh, what have we got here? Sometimes you feel tired. You can't seem to lose those extra pounds off your midsection. And your joints hurt when you take the stairs? Well, you're getting older. But I'm happy to say that there's some simple things we can do to keep you happy and healthy for years to come. We can also lower your risk for some serious diseases the older population is often subject to. Proper nutrition is more important than ever. Your body has changed, Not as many treats. A basic exercise plan. Lots of walks and fresh air. And most importantly, come and see me for twice yearly checkups to help ensure the best possible quality of life. Now, how does that sound? Good boy.
Improve the quality of life for your elderly pet. Schedule twice yearly checkups that include preventive care and regular lab work. A message from the veterinary members of the American Animal Hospital Association.
We're back to the Inside Scoop Emerald Planet. Here again, your host, Dr. Sam.
Hello, I'm Dr. Sam Hancock, the President and Executive Director of the Emerald Planet and also the Director and host of Emerald Planet TV. We come to you on a weekly basis from Washington, D.C. in the United States and points around the globe, as we've broadcasted from Brazil, Austria, China, Taiwan, and many other countries. And we're talking about the various things that are going to need to be used and to created as we go to a planet of 9 billion people. And so we're looking at all the different ways that we can actually enhance the technologies, the services, and the products that are going to be viable as we add 2 billion new people by 2050. And so how we reach out and to invite these people to the planet, because they're going to be here whether we want to or not, in a way that's actually going to be able to not only sustain, but also it's enhance the quality of life. And I have someone sitting right beside me. This is Lynne. She is the director of what's called Young Voices on Climate Change, and also the producer of Young Voices for the Planet, the film series. And it's just absolutely fantastic work that you're doing, Lynne, and we're certainly pleased to have you. And we're going to try to have someone join us that has been doing some of this work in the great country of Russia. But tell us a little bit about the Young Voices on Climate Change, and then let's talk a little bit about the film series.
The series grew out of a book called How We Know What We Know About Our Changing Climate, which is about the scientists doing research on like mud cores, ice cores. But the most important part of the book turned out were the success stories of these kids who were going out and reducing CO2 emissions. Mm-hmm. Because we found that people don't like to be told that, doom and gloom, that things are really bad and it's like there's these intractable problems. They want to believe that we can do something. Mm-hmm. And so I put together this film series, Young Voices for the Planet, which is kids these are youth solutions to the climate crisis. They're all success stories of kids reducing their CO2 emissions while addressing some other environmental issue.
Well, I think the whole thing about it too, and if we can pull up one of these, we have one that's called Team Marine. If we can get the technical crew to bring this clip up, then let's look at that. It's called Team Marine. It's from Santa Monica High School. And we had 2 of those members that are a part of this team that you were able to put in your film. So here it is.
Team Marine is a group of students from Santa Monica High School. One problem that caught our eye were the effects that plastic bags have on the ocean.
Living in a beach community that Santa Monica is, we were very aware of all the trash in the streets, in the ocean, and also storm drains, because not only do we get the litter that we create, but we also get everyone else's litter because it's all channeling to the ocean. There are multiple problems with plastic bags because while they may seem convenient, the production uses a lot of petroleum and it uses a lot of energy, which is fossil fuel based, and it affects global warming. Annually, 6 billion plastic bags are made in Los Angeles County and less than 5% are recycled.
The petroleum used to make 14 plastic bags can drive a car 1 mile. How much resources we use just to make these simple plastic bags that are a one-time use only is really not worth it.
Anyway, looking at that from Team Marine, I tell you, that's just absolutely incredible. And how do you find out about all this talent that's out there? They're doing these very innovative and progressive projects, and people in their own local community may not even know about them. So how do you find them, Lynne?
Well, the first film I did was called Kids versus Global Warming, and that was Alec Lure, who made the sea level awareness posts and a declaration of independence from fossil fuel. He knew the kids from Team Marine, and he knew green ambassadors. We read about the Girl Scouts in the New York Times, and then after that, once the movies got out, all these people kept sending me stories, and so we just kept getting more and more stories, and now we have so many stories we can't even make as many films as there are stories.
Oh, that's absolutely incredible, and that's what we find with Emerald Planet TV is that we've interviewed over 1,000 different people now from 91 different countries, and we keep about 150 people backed up all the time in that. Now we have Anya Suslova, and she came in. She's coming in from Siberia, and she has one of these films that you're talking about, Anya, the citizen scientist in Siberia. Let's see if we can bring that film up. Let's bring the film, please. Okay, I think we have Anya on the telephone. Anya,
we were in the Lynne River, where Anya's
Okay.
from. We're on a ship for 2 weeks, all the way down the Lynne River to just about to the Arctic Ocean.
I was traveling with my dad a lot since my childhood and seeing how he does his work.
Anya was along. She had just turned 13, and she is the daughter of the captain of the boat that we used for sampling on the Lena. Should be right there every time we were sampling, and became part of the crew. It was a big help with the work that we were doing. I explained how more samples would help us figure out how things varied seasonally.
They asked me to make water samples during the winter, and he said that you can make something really good for world. I said, oh, of course, it will be interesting to see what he can do.
When I first met her, you could just see the twinkle in her eye that she still has. And I've learned probably as much from her and from her parents.
Well, I tell you, this is just really fantastic, Lynn. I think we've...
And from people in the villages, as certainly she's learned from me.
You can change the world, so do something.
That is absolutely fantastic. Anya, are you here by phone?
Hello.
Yes, if we can get your voice up a little bit. Anya?
Hello.
Anya, can you hear me? Yes, okay. Anyway, Lynn, let's talk while they're trying to get Anya on the telephone. Looking at someone...
Hello?
Anya, can you hear me?
Yeah. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, fantastic. We just looked at the film clip, Anya, the citizen scientist in Siberia. Tell us a little bit about your home area. I know that you're part of one of the indigenous peoples there in Siberia. The Emerald Planet and Emerald Planet TV works with the Indigenous Peoples Forum at the United Nations. So we're very interested in what you're doing. So tell us a little bit about your home area.
Well, I started doing citizen science when I was 13, when I met a group of scientists, and I started with collecting river samples because my dad is captain of a boat, and I continued that for many years, and that's how I became really interested in climate science. And so now I finished my master's degree in climate science, and I continue to be really excited and inspired about doing science and climate, and yeah, that's what I want to do.
Oh, that's absolutely fantastic. What were you looking for in the samples, and why did you think your father encouraged you to do this? Because when you look at the film clip, and also I've been to Russia now many times, Siberia is a very cold, forbidding place to live and try to work, and you're out taking samples in the middle of a cold Russian winter. So what was your father thinking at that time?
Yeah, so when I started doing that, I didn't speak any English, and I actually had no idea what exactly those samples are telling me. It was kind of my learning period, but I was pretty committed. It was my routine to collect water samples twice a month, and I felt a connection to science. So when I started doing that, I thought I'm being really helpful to a world-class scientist, so it was kind of really cool. And although I didn't have for 6 months any connection with scientists, and they had no idea what I am doing, I still kept on collecting the samples because I knew that I'm a scientist and I'm helping science.
Well, I think it's just absolutely fantastic, and thank you for being on the Emerald Planet TV and sharing this. But I was asking you about the village that you're from, and you're from Yakutsk
Yes.
city in the Sakha Republic. And most people in the United States, probably around the world, maybe even Russia itself, does not know much about this area. Tell us just shortly, briefly, a little bit about this area where you're from.
Well, actually, I'm from Zhigansk, which is even further north from Yakutsk. It's a small village above the Arctic Circle on a huge, beautiful river, which is called Lynne River. And it's an indigenous population, which is called Paving. We have our distinct culture and traditions. So that's where I grew up and I met scientists. So it's really interesting. It's really different from rest of Russia because our culture is very unique and it's closer to most of Arctic nations like Eskimo and Yupik and other Arctic indigenous nations.
Well, it's fantastic that you're being a bridge for these indigenous peoples out to the world. Lynne, you want to ask a question? And we have to be quick. We're almost out of time, Anya, but thank you for being with us.
Anya, what's really intrigued me is how, like, this is what, 6 years ago now, and how you went to India to get your graduate degree.
Got 30
so
seconds.
Just can you tell us more about what that degree is?
So I got climate science and policy degree in India, which is of course very far from Arctic. But it's just, I feel like I'm a global citizen and I really want to learn more about other parts of the world. So it was a main reason I went to India.
There couldn't be much more difference between India and Russia as far as the culture is concerned, and particularly with the indigenous area that you come from. In about 15 seconds, what do you see for your life over the next 5, 10, 15 years, Anya?
I really want to educate people about climate and how every citizen in the world can make a change just if they know that global warming is real.
That's fantastic. What a great message to leave. Thank you for being with us on the Emerald Planet. Lynne, thank you for being on the Emerald Planet. Glad to have you here. And it's just wonderful the work that you're doing. So we hope that you're going to keep coming back, bringing more of these intriguing youth. Thank you, dear viewers, for being with us as we create the Emerald Planet.